During your talk, you talked about evidence that's been developed over the last, well, I don't know how long, about a gun, and could you talk more about that?
Well, there were always photos of a guy named Terry Norman, who was an FBI informant, handing his gun to a cop, or the cop's taking the gun from him. So we knew that that existed. And recent forensic stuff where they've been able to analyze tape recordings with new equipment has postulated that there were 4 shots fired from the gun. That in the tape you can hear 4 shots being fired in a different part of campus, on the other side of where the shootings took place. But one of the sensationalist things that was said right after the shootings was that the guardsmen were responding to fire from students, right? And so we know from COINTELPRO documents, counterintelligence program documents, that you know, these kind of operations were being done to discredit the anti-war movement and the civil rights movement and the black liberation struggle. So some of the people at Kent and some of the families, Alison Krause's family in particular, had urged Obama to reopen the case for that and just general reasons, and they recently said that they wouldn't do that. But it's pretty clear that there was that this thing was set up, and you know, it falls into a whole pattern of government surveillance and disruption that was going on at that time. I mean, I had never bothered, but just in the last year I went and got my own, I requested my own documents, and I got 1,000 documents. You know, J. Edgar Hoover wants to know where I am. It's like you know, there was this whole thing of following people, poison pen letters, getting people fired from jobs, you know, just anything to disrupt the movement.
Getting back to the demonstration, I mean, wasn't there some investigation? Because, I mean, the facts are so incredible that, as you point out, the demonstration's over, just a few people are walking on campus, guardsmen shoot from a football field away. What kind of investigation was done? Well,
whitewashes. The Portage County grand jury was the first investigation and basically blamed the students. Then there was this Scranton Commission, the Presidential Commission, which I was only one of 2 students to testify at the Scranton Commission. And basically, you know, it kind of gave a liberal thing about how guards shouldn't have overreacted and stuff like that. But the evidence is damning. I mean, all you need to do is look at this photo of where the students are when the shootings took place, right? And, you know, there's never been a genuine investigation.
Did they try to find out who gave the command? Because it seems that they wheeled around and shot.
Yeah, and, you know, and of course people have demanded to know that, and there's a lot of people who say, well, you know, the guardsmen were given an order. Clearly it shows that, you know, an officer gave the order. People did this at once. I mean, my own feeling is that there's a more substantive group that are responsible for this beyond National Guardsmen. Yes, if there was an officer that gave the order, they should be brought to justice. But really, it was Richard Nixon and the war makers in Washington who were responsible for this. That's who was responsible. Rhodes, Nixon, and the people they represent. That's really who's responsible.
And they wanted to make an example for what purpose?
Well, they wanted this protest to go away. And they thought that if they shot people, that people would get scared and go away. You know, and you know, they laid the political basis with these vitriolic remarks about student protesters. Nixon calling students bums who went out and protested. Rhodes saying that, you know, you're worse than fascists. You know, all this was designed to try to whip up public sentiment to support repression against students. And, you know, of course, there are a few people who did buy into that stuff. There were townspeople who said, yeah, we should get the students and do this, these kind of yahoos. But it was a tiny minority of people. Most people were horrified at what happened to Kent. They were horrified by it.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you.